Welcome to the first lecture to start veg crops production. If you are in modules and you scroll down past the course content, which you should have already gone through and taken a look at all of those, week one, here we are in industry intro. Now you'll see some things here that look different because I'm in instructor view and things that are either for me or currently unpublished to the site, you will see as grayed out on when you're looking at my screen. You won't see them at all. So industry intro, here is a PowerPoint file that I'm going to be reviewing. And as soon as I'm done recording these lectures here, I will upload these lectures and you'll see links to these lectures that I will have to post to YouTube and then give you links to them here. So here's the PowerPoint. It's a very brief PowerPoint, but a lot of important things to be said and to review. So first, I want to make sure that you understand the produce value chain. When we're talking about the value chain, we're talking about the value of the product. So if I start with just a lettuce seed, one lettuce seed, I can get 1,000 of them for 40 cents. But if I'm talking about a head of lettuce, I can't get 1,000 heads of lettuce for 40 cents. Something happened to that head of lettuce, that seed, turn it into a head of lettuce. And then even after it was turned into a head of lettuce and nothing more was really done to it, the value still went up. And the value went up because it had to be cooled. Did that change it? No, but it made it more stable for transportation and storage and display and sale to you to pick it up at the grocery store and eat it. And there are other things, the brokers that connect, etc., the transportation itself. The truck has to get it from some main distribution location to the grocery store where you're going to buy it. And everybody has to make money. So anytime something is improved, moved, cooled, packaged, harvested, grown, any step along the way, the price or value goes up. And so that's why you see the height of each of these little wedges going up in height. It's representing the value becoming more. So at the front end, there are all the things feeding into the grower, the crop support services, the folks who are spraying your pesticides, or possibly the pest control advisor giving you advice, maybe the seed company, that's the genetics right here, selling you seeds. There's the suppliers that are selling you drip tape and fertilizer and cell phones and tires for your truck and pallets and bins and on and on and on. All of these things are the services and suppliers. And then at the center, at least from the point of view of this class, the center is the grower, the producer. And so we will think of the center as the grower for this class throughout. And if I don't specify on an exam or something, always think of the center of ag is the grower itself. But if I am a seed company, I have my own suppliers and I have customers. The grower is now my customer. The grower would be on the right-hand side in this chart. And on the suppliers, I've got people supplying me bags and cleaning equipment and all kinds of things to be a seed company. So again, you're always in the center, whatever company you work for. You have suppliers on one side and customers on the other, or distribution on the other. And we're just going to be the grower in this class, all right? So the grower then has to do something. They have to put it into the supply chain. And the supply chain are brokers and wholesalers and distribution markets that provide your connection to the retailers. There's only one Walmart, but there are many, 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 many thousands of growers. They can't talk to every one of them. So what does Walmart do? They talk to these supply chain representatives, these wholesalers. And it's really important to have these wholesalers. They might not do anything except make a phone call. They do a lot more than that, but I know of situations where a, a wholesaler made a phone call at 7 p.m., was never within 1,000 miles of the product, spent 10 minutes on the phone, and made a percentage of that sale. And you might think, well, that's robbery. You just sold 20,000 pounds of lettuce in 10 minutes and you marked up the price. The price, their value went up because of that phone call. Well, yeah, your contacts list, your ability to connect a grower to a buyer is hugely valuable. And for every 10-minute call where you made $5,000 in 10 minutes, you worked your tail off for days, making very little in some cases. So the middleman or the wholesaler or that the broker often gets a bad reputation, like there's some sort of unnecessary scammer stealing money in the process of products moving from point A to point B. And that's not true. Growers aren't stupid. They're not going to sell their product through a channel that is going to be inefficient. If it's inefficient, they're going to hire their own people to be the broker for them in order to make the sales as much as they can. And bigger companies do that, like Tanimura and Antle or Taylor Farms. They have their own sales supply chain. So they don't pay the quote middleman or middle person. It's just how big are you? Can you afford that? But it is an important concept. And then it gets to the retailer. What does the retailer add? Convenience and shelf space. Instead of having to go to one roadside stand to get my lettuce, go to another roadside stand to get my asparagus, go to some other roadside stand to get maybe some hand towels and toilet paper, and go to another roadside. You can't go to 100 places to buy 100 different things. A grocery store puts all of it in one spot, or at least very few spots. So I can take a trip into town and go to one grocery store, maybe a pharmacy, and get 90% of what I need. And so that adds huge value from a convenience standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, efficiency of your time, efficiency of resources, efficiency of refrigeration being available in one location to have things that need refrigeration, etc. So all of these steps are important. And then it gets to you, the consumer, the one who's going to buy it. And so we're all consumers. We all buy things and consume them. In the case of produce, eat them. But we also might be other places in this chain as well. So again, value chain is all about value, increasing price every single time a product changes hands. Even if it might not be so obvious, the retailer provides convenience, the produce supply chain connects growers to the retailers. The grower, that's more obvious. You're irrigating, fertilizing, harvesting. You're doing all kinds of things to go from seed to a finished harvestable crop or product. And then all the suppliers leading into it. And then we have the fresh business chain on the supply side. So these are the suppliers. And again, we've got our grower shipper in the center. They're not necessarily the same thing, but a lot of times the grower is also a grower shipper, but some growers, if you're not big enough to also be a shipper, you might just be a grower. And so you need things to go in. You need your supply side to give you all the things, to fill in all the things you need. So you need seed, and they'll have their own sets of dealers. I need fertilizers. They have not only dealers, but dealer applicators. They'll put it on your product. So they're the wholesale companies for fertilizers, and then they're the uh, farmer suppliers that generally offer application services. I need crop protection. That's the pest control advisor, the pesticides, etc. They have their own dealer applicators. Sometimes they're connected with the fertilizer company. I need packaging. That's pallets and bins and wrap and rubber bands and you name it. All of those things that I need. Irrigation supplies. They have their own dealers. Packagers actually can have their own dealers as well, but usually they sell direct. Irrigation, I can have dealers for my drip tape and dealers for my sprinkler pipe and things like that. And there's lots of other services and supplies and farm machinery, the tractors and um, uh, discs and chisels and other things you need to run a farming operation. They go through dealers. All of this is the supply chain, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. And then we go to the distribution side of the business chain. On the distribution side, again, the grower shipper in the middle, and we have out here the consumer on the far right, but then we have grocery stores, the Costco, Safeways, Albertsons, lots of other grocery stores. Costco is a retailer. It's a myth that they're a wholesaler. Just it's a marketing myth. Wow, I go direct to the source. I go to a wholesale place. That's a bunch of malarkey. They are just a big box retailer. Do they do wholesale transactions? Sure, they do some. You know when you're behind the wholesale customer because nobody's got 40 pounds of coffee and 37 loaves of bread and 17 bags of large bags of chips and et cetera, et cetera. You know you're behind a restaurant or something. But for the most part, Costco is just another retailer. And so they're direct sales. Some grower shippers sell directly into some of these grocery store chains. There are terminal markets. The biggest one I'm aware of in California is down in LA. Massive amounts of produce goes into this LA terminal market that the buyers, distributors, brokers buy and sell all the time through these terminal markets that then distribute out to the different retail outlets. So again, fresh processors, something that's relatively new in terms of the history of the industry, but not new to any of you. It's been pretty much a given now that we have Fresh Express and Dole and Taylor Farms and other companies that sell these ready-to-eat fresh products. So it can be anything from salads and snack packs or party packs with dips and broccoli and grape tomatoes, the little teeny tiny. They're smaller than cherry tomatoes and other foods all in a tray, ready to eat, already washed, ready to go. So those are the processors. Sometimes the processors are part of the grower shipper operation. And they then have their own sales. Restaurants, they're part of the retail end. And there's a whole business going into restaurants. Whopper, that's the Burger King, and McDonald's, even though some people might not call them restaurants. They're their own category of fast food restaurant, and they are huge consumers of a wholesale food service, wholesale food service. In other words, they are buying wholesale product from the industry and they are doing a food service retail business. Food service retail is when you are selling to the consumer. I go to a restaurant and I'm the last person to do it. I buy it and I eat it. If I sell to a restaurant, still in that food service chain. I'm selling into food service, which is restaurants, but I'm on the wholesale side. The retail side is over here between the restaurant and the consumer. And it's not just restaurants, it's also school lunch programs and cruise ships and um, airlines to a tiny degree. They don't do much food on airlines anymore. Um, the hotel room service, if I didn't mention that, military uh, military mess halls or chow halls are all part of this food service. Hospitals, on and on and on. So we call that food service because it is a unique, special segment of the ag industry that prepares food ready to eat. Food service. If you're on the side that sells into the food service, you're the person between the grower and the food service outlet. It's called wholesale food service because I'm selling to a food service company. I'm selling to a restaurant. I'm selling to the military. I'm selling to a school district. I'm wholesale food service. However, if I'm selling to the consumer, I'm preparing ready to eat meals. I'm Subway. I'm the Outback restaurant. Now I'm retail food service. I'm still in the food service line. I'm still making meals ready to eat. The difference is I am making the final sale. Retail means final sale to the person who's going to use it. Okay. And there's lots of other links. Farmers markets, that's another outlet, a niche, but an important niche in some communities. The farmers market takes either they are the grower or they have some arrangement with somebody who will sell their product at the farmers market directly to the consumers. So that is the value chain. And I'll take a break. Actually, I'm going to stop right there. Oh, value chain and business chain, excuse me. Both the value chain and the business chain. Do not get them mixed up.